Welcome to the Princeton Festival's presentation on wine, women, and song. I would like to especially thank the members of the Princeton Festival Education Committee for suggesting this topic. Obviously, much more goes on at their meetings of which I am unaware. Now, among many people, opera has developed a reputation as being a rather boring, snobbish form of entertainment, bearing little relevance to contemporary life. However, for those of us who are opera lovers, some might even call us opera fanatics, opera opens the door to another plane of existence. Opera allows us to experience emotions on a deeper level than we often do in our daily lives. For many, this is a form of escapism, a chance to leave our mundane existence and, for a time, exist in a reality in which we are free to feel and experience life on a much grander scale. In this sense, we can talk about drinking in the experience of opera, the intoxicating effect of opera, if you will. Viewing opera from this perspective as a form of intoxication leads quite naturally to the topic of today's discussion: the role of intoxication, or at least the thought of it, in specific operas. Wine, or any alcohol by itself, can be quite thrilling. But when paired with a woman, or perhaps several, the effect can be magnified, and at least on the operatic stage, can ignite into song. While it is true that there are many operas with a focus on the tragic, even these operas have their moments of levity. More often than not, these moments of jollity are accompanied by some form of alcohol. So let us take a look at two of the most famous, well-known tragic operas, both by Puccini, La Bohème and Madama Butterfly. Both of these operas end with the death of the heroine and have made more than one eye tear up. But on the way to this tragic ending, our liquor has always played a part. So let's take a look at La Bohème. La Bohème begins with four bachelor friends living in the Latin Quarter of Paris. We have a poet, a musician, a philosopher, and a painter. They're living in a small, inexpensive, bohemian-style garret. They are also behind in their rent. So towards the beginning of the opera, their landlord shows up to collect the next month's rent, and these friends use alcohol as a means of getting the landowner or the landlord tipsy enough that they can trick him into getting out of paying their rent.
Sei pazzo? Ha visto? Ora via, resti un momento in nostra compagnia. Dica quanta mia, caro signor Benoit. Gli anni, per carità. Su e giù la nostra età, di più, molto di più. Ha detto su e giù. L'altra sera, alma mia, villan colto in peccato d'amor. Io alma mia l'altra sera l'han colto. Neghi un caso della donna appunto riccone seduttore riccone una quercia un cannone il cri ricciuto e fulbriccone i gongolava arzillo e petto nudo son vecchio e gongolava arzillo e petto nudo vincete alla femminile virtù timido gioventù ora me ne ripago si sa è uno svago qualche donnetta allegra e un po' non dico un'altalena un mondo ho preso mondo dall'una pena ma magra proprio magra no poi no le donne magre son rattacapi e spesso sopraccapi e son piene di taglie per esempio mia moglie
So although not a drinking song per se, you can see that alcohol plays an important role in affecting a specific desired outcome. Now, in Madama Butterfly, the anti-hero, as I like to call him, Pinkerton, shares his view of life and love with his friend over a glass or two of whiskey. So this is in homage to those of you who prefer an alcohol with a slightly higher alcohol content than wine.
Vagabondo si gode, traffica, sprezzando i rischi. Affonda l'ancora all'avventura. Il punch o whisky vita otello giapponese per 999 anni. Salvo a procogliermi ogni mese.
Facile Vangelo.
Whether the whiskey really was necessary for Pinkerton to express his thoughts and feelings about life and love, I'm not sure. I don't have a high regard for that particular character. I suspect that he would have been saying the same things if he chose the milk punch instead of the whiskey. Weddings are a joyous occasion at which alcohol is often present. A particularly festive wedding song about wine can be found in Hector Berlioz's opera Beatrice et Benedict. This is based on Shakespeare's play Much Ado About Nothing. The friends of Beatrice and Benedict, Hero and Claudio, conspire to get their friends to fall in love with each other. In Act 2 of this opera, a party is being held to celebrate the upcoming marriage between Hero and Claudia, and the local music teacher, Samarone, leads everyone in a song extolling the wonderful wines of Syracuse in Sicily. And it is during this scene that Beatrice realizes that she has actually fallen in love with Benedict.
Mes amis, pensons à la cérémonie maintenant.
Du vin par tous les diables. Du vin. Le vin de Syracuse accuse une grande chaleur au cœur de notre île. De notre île de Sicile, vive ce fameux Parsifal. La plus noble flamme, douce alarme, comme au cœur du buveur. C'est la liqueur, la liqueur vermeille de la treille, des coteaux de Marcelo qui l'ont. Il a raison, et ça taille et l'on cause,
passons à la cérémonie.
Silence. Le vin. Le vin. Le vin. Le vin fin de Syracuse. Le vin de Syracuse accuse. Oui, certes, le vin de Syracuse. Le vin de Syracuse. La
So what would university or college life be like without alcohol and without drinking? In Sigmund Romberg's operetta, The Student Prince, the crown prince, Karl Franz, has been sent incognito to study at the University of Heidelberg as a student to improve his social skills before his prearranged marriage to Princess Margaret, whom he actually has never met. The first act opens at the Inn of Three Golden Apples, and Karl Franz is initiated into the art of drinking. Here, the alcohol of choice is beer. Sadly, he falls in love with the barmaid, and unfortunately, she, at the end of the opera, relinquishes her love so that Karl Franz can marry Princess Margaret, whom she has found out truly loves the prince. So in this case, love does not conquer all.
Salamander. Salamander. No. Salamander. No. Salamander. Rex.
Drink it down in one breath.
Drink, 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 drink. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift your stein and drink your beer. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift your stein and drink your beer. Drink, drink, drink. 2 eyes that are bright as stars when they're shining on drink. And
Drink, drink, drink.
2 lips
That are red and sweet as the fruit on the tree. Here's a hope that those bright eyes will shine, lovingly, longingly, soon into mine. May those lips that are red and sweet tonight with joy my own lips meet. Drink, drink, let the toast start. May young hearts never part. Drink, 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 let every true lover salute his sweetheart.
drink, drink, drink. 2 arms that are wide and warm as the rose in the sun. Drink, drink, drink. 2 hearts that will love one only when I am the one.
Here's a hope that those soft arms will twine. All I ask is the right to see those smiling eyes beguiling me. Drink, drink, let the toast start. May young hearts never part.
Drink, drink.
Let every true lover salute his sweetheart. Let's drink.
Are we getting in the spirit yet? Now, throughout world history, at least Western history, army life has always had a reputation of fostering a love of drinking. In Gounod's opera Faust, after Mephistopheles has transformed the aged Faust into the young man Faust, he takes him out to see the world and all of that he has missed. Their first stop is at a bar, and we hear a chorus of soldiers, students, and villagers singing a drinking song. And here we have our choice of wine or beer. So this is at the beginning of Act 2. And as I said, Faust is now going out to visit the world in the accompaniment, or with the accompaniment of Mephistopheles, and their first stop is where he is introduced to Marguerite, the beautiful woman with whom he falls in love. Soldiers are not the only profession to have a reputation for loving drink. Sailors fall into that category also. Now, many people think of Wagner, the opera composer, as being an acquired taste. However, his sailor's drinking song from Der Fliegende Holländer is perhaps one of the most lively of all operatic drinking songs and is sure to set your toe a-tapping. Now, in Italian operas, at least, it seems almost any kind of occasion will serve to enjoy wine. In Mascagni's opera Cavalleria Rusticana, Turido has seduced Santuzza to get his old girlfriend, who is now married to another man, jealous. His feat works, and he has now managed to get back with his old girlfriend at the expense of Santuzza. To celebrate, he orders wine, sparkling wine, from his mother's wine shop, and all is going well at this party until the husband of his ex-girlfriend shows up, refuses to drink the wine, and challenges Turido to a duel. The outcome does not go so well for Turido, and perhaps if he hadn't had quite so much wine, he would have been the one to succeed and come out alive from this duel. In this excerpt, the English subtitles are at the top, and there are other subtitles at the bottom.
Intanto amici qua, beviamo in un bicchiere. Vive il vino spumeggiante, nel bicchiere scintillante, come il riso dell'amante, vita in fondo il giubilo. Vive il vino spumeggiante, nel bicchiere scintillante, come il riso dell'amante, vita in fondo il giubilo. Viva il vino che è sincero, che ci allieta il pensiero, e che affoga il mare vero nella minaccia pagherò. Viva il vino che è sincero, che ci allieta il pensiero, e che affoga il mare vero nella minaccia pagherò. Ai vostri amori, alla fortuna vostra, e via,
So far, All of our examples have been fairly lighthearted and happy occasions, although the last one has some dark overtones to it. We are going to continue in this darkening trend, and our next example is from Mozart's opera, Don Giovanni. This has a famous bass baritone aria, which is often referred to as the champagne aria. In this, Giovanni describes his vision of the party he's going to throw that night, which will be full of wine and women and possibly some song. He plans to use the wine to loosen inhibition so that by morning he can have added to his list of amorous conquests by at least a dozen.
Ecco mi piazza qualche ragazza, ecco qualquella per camminare, ecco qualquella per camminare, senza alcuna brillata Sofia, il minuetto, la follia, la demanda, fare ballare il minuetto, fare ballare la follia, fare ballare la demanda, fare ballare. E tutto canto dall'altro canto, con questa quella tuo amore c'è, alla Melissa, donna mattina, una decina, credo mentare. Alla Melissa, una decina, credo mentare. Sei come piazza, buona ragazza, sei come quello, sei come noi. Alla Melissa, donna mattina, una decina, credo mentare. Senza alcuna brillata Sofia, il minuetto, la follia, la demanda, fare quello. Alla Melissa, donna mattina, una decina, credo mentare. Una decina, credo mentare.
Now, things get darker. In Verdi's opera, Otello, based on the Shakespeare play Otello, Iago, who is an officer under the direction of Otello, has been envious for many years of Otello's success and all of the positive feeling that everyone seems to have for Otello. And when Otello promotes Cassio instead of Iago, that's the last straw, and Iago determines to get revenge. To this end, he enlists the help of a fellow soldier, Rodrigo. Rodrigo lusts after Otello's beautiful wife, Desdemona, and the two of them plot to, first of all, discredit Cassio, and then sow seeds of doubt and mistrust between Otello and his wife, Desdemona. In Act 1, Iago gets Cassio drunk so that he is unable to take his post as watch and starts a brawl, which is broken up with the arrival of Otello.
La tazza capitano, non devo più ingaglia questo sorso. No, guarda, oggi pazza tutta Cipro, è una notte di gioia, dunque cessa, chiamate cervello per un avvocato. Sì, ancora bevetevi alle nozze d'Otello e Desdemona.
Canterai le sue lodi.
Ascolta, io non sono che un critico.
E della doni lode più bella.
E guarda da quel Cassio che temi. E fa bella già con troppo dolore. La gagliarda finezza lo splora. È un astuto seduttore che non compra il cammino. Paga, se si deve per tutto fallo ver. Qua, ragazzi, del vino. svampino, canto e bicchiere.
Resta del pampino verace, manda di vade a lupola, e vie pensier.
Che resta orso del libiamo spavaldo e strano. Beva con me, beva con me, beva, 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 beva con me. Resta orso del libiamo spavaldo e strano. Un altro sorso e mille,
Un altro sorriso e mille,
il mondo m'abita con mio sombrino, dicono me è il destino.
come d'armonico liuto, sento la gioia ascoltito sul mio cammino.
Resta orso e di tirando spavaldo e strano. Beva con me, beva con me, beva, 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 fuga del vivo nato e codanti,
Porto dall'anima ciascuni,
e il cuore nascondo da fuori.
bevo la trama
Resta
bevi con me,
bevi con me, bevi con me, e segna tumulto, pensa che la prima vigilia d'amore.
ciò che mi scrive, se por,
Cassio is now so drunk that he can't possibly take over as watch, and Otello is called in to settle the brawl which arises between Cassio and Rodrigo. So Iago's plan works well, all because of wine. Now, those two examples certainly show that wine can be used to elicit an undesired or an evil outcome, but I would say that they don't compare with the outcome that the next drinking song I'm going to share with you elicits. This is from Lucrezia Borgia. She is a very ambitious woman and thinks nothing about getting rid of her, killing off, in fact, anyone who disagrees with her or who displeases her. Her long-lost son, Gennario, arrives in Venice with his friends, and all of them have had family members murdered by Lucrezia. So there is no love between Lucrezia Borgia and her long-lost son and his friends. Not knowing that his mother is Lucrezia, he removes the B from the sign in front of the Borgia house, leaving the, in Italian, obscene word orgia, an orgy. Lucrezia is furious about this, and she demands that her husband find the perpetrator and kill him. She does not know that it was actually her son who did this. When her husband finds out who the perpetrator was and catches him and brings him in, he tells his wife, "You decide how he's going to die." And he pours poison into a glass of wine and insists that Lucrezia give the poison to Gennaro. He does not know that Gennaro is her son, but she does. So she says, "All right, my husband, I'll do as you say." So she gives Gennaro the poisoned wine, but she has an antidote. So as soon as her husband is gone, she gives the antidote to Gennaro, and he survives. She tells him that he should flee town and stay as far away as possible, without yet revealing that he is her son. Now, later that night, there is a party at the Borgia house, and Gennaro and his friends arrive, including his dear friend Orsini, who has been with him since he was a child. Orsini is a pants roll. It is sung by a mezzo-soprano or a contralto. And at this party, Orsini sings a drinking song, little suspecting that the wine she is encouraging all of her friends to drink heavily has been poisoned by Lucrezia, and that shortly after she finishes singing, or he finishes singing, they are all going to die.
Forse le piace, amici, può schiccherare Orsin, versi a sua posta, perché poeta ognuno faria tal vino.
Sì, a tuo dispetto.
Una barata, Orsino.
fonti, strati funebri, per coprir vestenti, poiché veleno avete prato, e presto!
Non bastan 5, abbi mestiere del sesto.
Che no!
So he refuses the antidote that she offers him this time and prefers to die with all of his friends. We're going to return to another Shakespeare-based opera, and this is Ambrose Thomas's setting of Hamlet. Now, in many cases, over-drinking leads to drunkenness and irrational behavior, which would normally not be accepted, but when someone is drunk, he or she is often excused from their bad behavior because he or she is drunk. Hamlet uses this knowledge by singing a drinking song and getting all of his courtiers to drink so that he is free to begin his plot to find out who murdered his father and to seek revenge.
La tristesse qui pèse sur mon cœur, à moi les rêves de l'ivresse et le riz de mon cœur. Oh, liqueur, chanteresse, verse l'ivresse et l'oubli dans mon cœur. Tout ce liqueur, oh, liqueur, chanteresse, verse l'ivresse dans mon cœur. Oh, liqueur, chanteresse, verse l'ivresse et l'oubli dans mon cœur. Oh, liqueur, chanteresse, verse l'ivresse et l'oubli dans mon cœur. Il cherche l'oubli dans l'ivresse. La vie est sombre, les ans sont courts. De nos beaux jours, Dieu sait le nombre. Chacun iros fortissibus, sa lourde chaîne, cruel de voir le désespoir de l'âme humaine. Quand il tombe, loin de nous, noir présage, loin de nous, noir présage, les plus sages sont les fous. La dissipe la tristesse qui pèse sur mon cœur, à moi les rêves de l'ivresse et le riz de mon cœur. Oh, liqueur, chanteresse, verse l'ivresse et l'oubli dans mon cœur. Douce liqueur, verse l'ivresse dans mon cœur. Oh, liqueur, chanteresse, verse l'ivresse et l'oubli dans mon cœur. Oh,
So for those of you who are not yet convinced that opera is far from a dull form of entertainment, let us go to the opening act of Verdi's opera La Traviata. It features one of the best-known drinking songs and never fails to get the party really rocking. So in this opera, Alfredo has fallen in love with the famous courtesan Violetta. And she has been ill for quite some time, and while she was bedridden, he came to visit her every day, which she did not know about or find out about until she started to recover. And upon her return to health, she hosts a big party, and Alfredo is called upon to deliver a toast. And this is the beginning of her feelings for Alfredo. Up to that point, she thought she could never have one single lover, but she begins to see something in Alfredo that makes her think that perhaps there is just one person in the world for her.
Libiamo negli lieti calici che la bellezza inaffiora e là fuggevol ora si ne briga volontà. Libiamo nei dolci fremiti che suscita l'amore, poiché quello che al cuore onnipotente va. Libiamo, amore, amor, tra i calici piccoli baci avrà.
So whether you are a lover of scotch, beer, whiskey, wine, or champagne, opera has a song for you. To end our tasting tour of operatic drinking songs, I will leave you with Johann Strauss's beloved Die Fledermaus. It has a rather complicated plot, but in the end, with enough champagne, all wrongs are righted and everyone leaves happy, as I hope you will. À votre santé.
Champagne, 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 all I want is more champagne, and what will you do?
nation after nation, tra la 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 la. Love is fermentation, la 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 la. The ultimate quintessence of joy and effervescence, a bottle full of bubbles, and suddenly your troubles will all take flight, for which we should be grateful. So drink it by the grateful, till late into the night. That's right, that's right, that's right. 'Cause all I want is more champagne, more champagne, more champagne. Can I start on your champagne? That's what we all adore. Yes, all we want is more champagne, more champagne, more champagne. Can I start on yours? Give me more and more and more. Baby, baby, baby.
For any assignation, it heightens all the senses and lowers one's defenses. The adjunct to shyness is hercelestial highness. So let it blow as powerful as liquor, but closer and thicker. That's all you need to know.
And so, and so, and so.
So all I need is more champagne, more champagne, more champagne. Show me a man who'll pour champagne. That's what we're waiting for.
Yes, all we want is more champagne, more champagne, more champagne. Then I start on yours, give me more.
So, on behalf of the Princeton Festival and, whoa, we get to hear it again. One can never have too much champagne. Let's see if we can get that. On behalf of the Princeton Festival and the Princeton Festival's Education Committee, I thank you for joining us. I encourage you to visit the Princeton Festival's website and see what other upcoming events there are. There are always many, many things going on through the Princeton Festival at this time of year, and we hope to see you either in person or virtually at as many of these as you can possibly make. Thank you.